I want to give a big shout out again to the Community Foundation's Knight Foundation Fund, which is really providing the bulk of the support for this. And we'll be hearing from Christy later, and we want to thank them for that. Our other sponsors, Norby's Rural Perks, United Way, Bremer Bank, and the Virginia George Inheritance Fund. And then many others who give us in-kind goods and services and door prizes. We had to print the program and we just ran out of time last night. They were still coming in. So it's a partial list on our program, I'm sorry to say that. But you are going to want to stick around for those door prizes at the end of the day. They're looking pretty good. Free combo meal coupons from Valley Dairy, free tickets from the Guild for a concert today at 3 o'clock, screening of The Dictator tomorrow, and a hip-hop festival all next weekend. Don't miss that. Lunch entree at the Blue Moose, free tickets to the River Cinema, Deke's Pizza, gift cards, free tickets to see Annie at the Chester Fritz Auditorium, and Red Pepper gift certificates. So you must be present to win. See you at 1:55 for that, for the prize. Okay, so what is this common ground thing we're doing today? Well, it's a forum for all of us because we all live here, so we do share the ground. But what do we share beyond that? What do we know about our community? What do we need to know? What can each of us bring to that conversation, including the students who are learning? You are in the classes learning about all of the facets of a community. Maybe you don't call it that, but they're all involved in some way. So what can we learn from each other? Now, I hope you've been reading your newspaper in your packet, also called Common Ground, done by 24 students at UND. Some of them are in the room here. We want to thank them for this. What they did is really laid out the issues that are going to be talked about today. So it's a great common ground starting point for all of us. What do we need to know about the economy, about our population, about our environment, about the social issues occurring here, about our neighborhoods, about history? These are all topics about our community that we have the opportunity to discuss today. So I also need to give a shout out to the people who worked on this besides my class, community journalism, Angela Carey and Paige Burling, who are the managing editor and student editors of the paper. So we need to thank them for that. So what are we going to do today? First off, you can join the conversation by getting on Twitter. There's a hashtag on the bottom of your program, compliments of the Grand Forks Public Library, and they also have a website at which we will be posting materials from today, hoping that this whole event and activity and conversation carries on through the materials that we're going to be posting on that website. So I'm really excited that the Grand Forks Public Library is taking that effort to be our common ground, our common place, our common repository for what we know about our community. So here's the schedule. If you've got your program, you can follow along, see what are we up to today. After this opening session, we're going to be dividing up and going to some breakout sessions around downtown Grand Forks. What a great way to get out and see our downtown. There is a map in the program, and I need to make sure that the geography department is aware of this. Is a geographically challenged map. Some of you will notice that some things are in odd places on this map. But I was informed that this was done by people who are more creative and imaginative. This is the imaginative landscape of Grand Forks, not exactly the detailed latitude and longitude that you might expect. So, take it with a grain of salt. What we will do at the end of this session, we have student volunteers who will be leading you off to those other 10 sessions, and I'll call them out, and they'll lead you on so they can help you find the proper location. After that, your lunch is on your own, so enjoy downtown, and it's good spots. There are coupons in your packet that can give you a break at lunch or find some other place. Come back here at 1 o'clock. You're not going to want to miss Improv Anonymous. They're going to be here all day today. Are you guys in the room? Any improv? Oh, look at them over there. They're already making fun of me. They're going to make fun at 1 o'clock. Yeah. We're going to have a lot of fun. They're going to watch what we're doing and come back and kind of help us look at ourselves and have some fun with that, right? And then the door prizes will finish out the day. Shuttles are still going all day for those of you who want to get back to campus and back and forth. And for students who need verification of the class, for your faculty member, Please be sure to pick up a form at registration, and you'll get a sticker at the session, so that's your verification that you attended. There are evaluations in your packet as well. It will look like this. Don't leave without filling that out, and we'll have a box out there for you to drop it off. All right, so this is going to be an occasion for kind of testing your knowledge of Grand Forks. Don't worry, no grades given, and it's anonymous. So it's okay if you goof up and you don't remember who you are or where you live. It'll be okay. But you all got a clicker when you came in, right? Students are all familiar with this. I think most of them. They do this in classes. You have a clicker, and what will happen is there'll be some questions posed, and you choose the number, the number that matches the answer you want to give. Press the number, pointing it at the screen. If it turns green, you're recorded. And again, it's anonymous. So we'll love to see what you think and who you are in the audience. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to somebody who's going to start us off on clickers, and somebody who needs no introduction. That is Mayor of Grand Forks, Michael Brown, who's hiding behind the curtains. And
It sounds like a wonderful agenda, and I like it when the day ends with a prize.
yes.
And you gotta be present to win. That's been my motto about life for a long time. There must be a lot of Lutherans or Catholics in here, because everybody's in the back. We understand. So, well, good morning and welcome, and let me start by saying a tremendous congratulations and thank you to the organizers, Dr. Reckow, Kate Powell, and the Center for Community Engagement, leading a team of community-wide representatives, have made this the very best community university learning forum possible. You've all created an exciting agenda and an engaging atmosphere, and the impact will be huge. I think that's nice work. Concepts like engagement are best taught through modeling or demonstrating, and that's exactly what you are doing here today, modeling engagement by being engaged. So let's start with a few quick questions. We're going to get that clicker practice. So, who are you? How old are you?
We're going to start with this one.
This one. Let's start with this one. This quick. I like things fast.
Sorry about that. Everybody ready to register? You ready to go? Okay. So point it and pick 1, 2, or 3. If you see a green light, you're registered. It'll point it at the screen. Everybody done? Are you getting them? Everybody done. Everybody pick one. All right. You ready to show it? Who have we got here? Look at that. The first one is, I can't read it from here. Community members, 35%. We have 50% faculty and staff from UND, and look at that, 50% students. That's a pretty good mix-up. I like that. Wow, you're good.
So
You're very good.
next question. How old are you?
It's anonymous. Let's see how many great people we have in the room. Everybody point, click. If it's green, you're good. How you doing? Everybody got it? Yeah. All right, I think we're ready to. Oh, look at that. We have some great people here. A lot under 23. That would be those UND students. There's a correlation there.
I'm in the 4%.
Show special. All right.
Third question.
Best men's hockey team in the
country.
I love that the Vikings are there.
Well, this is a test of how smart you are.
I see that.
You see that? All right. Everybody pick one. Point your clicker. If it's green, it worked. You may have to hold it up a little bit. Everybody ready? All right, let's show us how smart this group is. Challenge ahead of us. You didn't study for this test, did you?
Some outliers there. Well, I think they're right. You and Indians hockey team. So now that we're warmed up, we see we have a few differences in who we are, but we also have some shared identity. It's this balance that really defines engagement. recognizing and celebrating our differences while valuing and building on our shared identities. Your engagement in the community is important. In fact, it's critical. All peoples, all voices, all backgrounds, all perspectives must have opportunities to impact the community in which they live. Engagement is also a shared responsibility between organizations and you. First of all, there's responsibility of organizations or networks like the city or the university or student government and the Downtown Development Association to be welcoming and open for engagement. We must have processes, systems, and policies, but also a general operational style that not only allows broad engagement, but encourages it. And when we don't, we need to be open to suggestions how to make improvements. But institutions don't hold all the responsibility. You all have a personal responsibility for engagement. We can't make you care about something that has to come from you. Find something that moves or challenges you, or just makes you upset, and do something about it. Find others who care about that as well, join together, engage each other, and have passion. Have passion. There are really great things and exciting things going on in Grand Forks these days, and that's because of people with passion. And I want you all to be a part of these great things and to make your own mark. Help us, engage with us to make Grand Forks the best version of itself possible. And thank you for taking the first step and being here today. Let me also say how pleased I am this forum is focused on the university-community connection, often called the town gown component. And this event highlights this relationship. We have a good relationship and we can make it better. We want to encourage more interaction between the campus and the community. We know there's an economic connection through jobs and research and industry. And there's also a tremendous opportunity to see more use of the expertise of our faculty, our staff, and our students to address the community issues and create community opportunities. And furthermore, we want students to feel at home in Grand Forks, not just passers-by to get your degrees. You are a resident, a citizen, and we want you to invest your amazing talents here and apply your new skills here and unleash your potential here. I'm looking forward to all the discussion today and all the work ahead and all the enthusiasm I sense in this room. So once again, great job, Community Center for Community Engagement, and thank you all for your participation. Thank you.
All right, well, we're properly welcomed, and how wonderful to hear the mayor really talk about the things that we're here for, which is how do we come together, put our knowledge together, and make this community we want to live in. How are we going to practice democracy, in other words? So, you know, Mayor Brown showed that we do have a pretty smart audience. Some differences there. But let's see what else you know about Grand Forks. I want to prime you a little bit, and then we're going to hear from some other people. So I have my own clicker question, and if you read your newspaper, the answers are actually all in the newspaper. So this is a good reason to do that. So could we have a clicker question? Anybody back there? There we go. Oh, which part of Grand Forks has the highest income? Students, do you know how to quickly look in the paper and find this? North end or the south end? Is this a trick question? Okay, everybody put your clicker up there. Pick one or two. Vote, and it's anonymous. Everybody voting? Everybody voting? Everybody voting? Hold up. Okay. Everybody done? Ready to show us the results on that? Okay, well, we have a few people who think the north end might have it. Quite a few think the south end has a higher income. Well, let's see what the answer actually is to that. I hope we still have that slide there. Here's just a snapshot of this using, and it isn't always easy to get all the statistics here, but using some legislative districts. District 42 on the north end, the income is $32,000 on average. 55% are low-income residents in that legislative district. As compared to District 17, south end income average is $73,000 with 16% low income. So you see we do have some disparity there, at least between certain legislative districts, and if you look at others across, that bears out. You might want to take a look at that research and see how that shows us something about a community. And there's a neighborhood session this afternoon after this, not this afternoon, after this one. And that might be a topic that could come up. Are we supporting all aspects of the university, of the community? Next question, let's try another one. Which one employs the most people in Grand Forks? Would it be healthcare and social assistance, educational services, construction and manufacturing, public administration and professional technical services, or retail, trade, hospitality services. So you have 5 choices. Hold up your clicker, pick the one you want to click. I see some people are not. Heather, you are not voting.
I voted.
You did already?
I was the first one.
Sorry.
She wasn't.
Voter fraud going on. Everybody voted? Because I'm calling on you apparently. Everybody got that? All right, let's see what people chose. Whoa. I can't read them from here. Sideways. Highest one?
Education.
So are they in the same order?
Yes.
Okay. So many of you picked education. Not surprising. We have UND, we have the school system, and so forth. Second one is the last one, retail, trade, and hospitality, and then the others, some others came up pretty high too. Let's see if we have, I hope we have the answer slide coming up. Yeah, look at this. Number 5, retail, trade, and hospitality services. Probably the students in here knew that answer, right? That's where most of you were. And we have questions about, is there a good match between the kinds of jobs that students want after they graduate and the kinds that are available here? And we certainly have a lot in that industry, and I'm sure the students, many of them are appreciative of having that opportunity, but we don't have nearly as many in the other. Look, education is actually behind healthcare and social assistance. And this is also part of the reason that our average wage is lower than the rest of the country, because that number 5 typically pays less than the other categories. We've got a session on that, economy, coming up, and a story in the newspaper that can give you some more background to start thinking about what can we do as a community to make a better match between the students and their graduation, what they're interested in, and what we have available. There's also a session, UND, retention of UND graduates. That's another one that might take that up. Okay, I think we have one more. Aha. How many refugees are resettled in Grand Forks each year? Under 100? About 250? Between 500,000 or 1,000? How many are resettled here each year? Pick your answer. Point, click, look for the green light. Everybody about ready? Okay, let's show the results. Aha, quite a spread there. The biggest answer there, are they in the same order? Okay, about 250 or between 500 and 1,000. Yeah, kind of hard to judge maybe, because we're hearing a lot about we have refugees who are resettling here. It seems like the community is changing a bit. How many is that? What's the actual answer? Oh, look at that. It's under 100. It's really not very many. That might be a bit surprising. You might want to read the front page story in here about that. Okay, give you a little bit of background on that. And also go to the session on population and how it's changing. I know that some of the things that students have told me is that they really like to see Grand Forks be a diverse place. Lots of different people here. That's more cosmopolitan. It really brings more to them, and they're looking for that. And they don't want to see racism. They don't want to see us being unwelcoming. So if we're interested in keeping students, I think that's something we really do all want to work on, and we should, ethically. Right? Something I might turn your attention to is page 3 of the newspaper, where students did talk about what they would like to see here. We also have some community voices all through the paper talking about things like wanting to see diversity, not wanting to see racism. So I think those are good things for all of us to keep in mind. Well, you're a pretty smart group. Few mess ups there, though. I think, and she's right there. At this point, I hope I primed the pump a little bit, and what we're going to need to do is have some lights over on this fine group over here, because we've got some people to help prime the pump. And after they've revealed some things, we've got some open mics, and we'll be hearing from you before we go on to those breakouts where you can learn more. So who we have here today, we have Pat Berger with United Way, We have Christy Mischler from the Community Foundation, and we have Professor Doug Munsky from the UND Geography Department. And we're going to start with Pat, and she's got some slides, so if our high-tech people back there can get those, find the slideshow. There we are. Pat, take it away.
Thank you very much. Didn't realize the microphone is picking up everything so sensitively, so all of those snide comments I made a few minutes ago, no. Just disregard those. But anyway, very pleased to be able to be here today, to see a great number of you in the audience that are interested in who we are and what our community is all about. I hope that I'm not the Debbie Downer here. Don't mean to be that, but my expertise and what I've been doing at United Way for 20 years or more is talking about poverty, about social and social service type needs, what United Way is, in case for students who may not be as familiar with us. My clients, if you are, happen to be health and human service agencies across the community, as well as individuals, because primarily what we are about is a fundraising mechanism for the community to help out folks in need. As we mentioned, our mission statement, which in fact we have refreshed in just the last month or so, our board retreat and focusing in on things, but united to positively transform and build strong communities. And I think all of you out there, what UND is all about, this is important and something that we all want. However, there are a vast number of people that unfortunately are having a little bit of struggling. So if we could go to the next slide, actually I think, and then the one after that, please. Okay, poverty in Grand Forks. I suppose if you said it's almost 22%, that some of you, that would be a surprise. Others think, well, okay, it's not that much. Well, it's almost 1 in 4 people in this community are living at a poverty level. And that is something that at United Way, we want very much to work to reduce that rate, because when you look at the 4 major cities in the state, Grand Forks, Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, we unfortunately have the highest poverty rate among those cities. Our big, bold, audacious goal is to reduce that number to be the lowest by 2030, which seems so far out there, but GULP is really only 15 years away. But I think that is something that is certainly doable and that's something we all want to achieve, but we must recognize that now. When we move over into Polk County and across the river on the east side, unfortunately I don't have the breakdown for the immediate East Grand Forks, but within Polk County, you've only got 12.7% of the residents who are living in a poverty situation. What do we mean by poverty? How much is that? When we talk about the U.S. Census Bureau, and believe me, there are a number of ways of measuring poverty. And I'm sure for students and classes, this is one of the things, well, okay, this organization says this, and the federal government says that, and what agencies are working on, it's another figure. But census-wise, an individual is considered living in poverty if they are making less than $12,071. If it is a family of 4, it is $24,000 or less. Now those are incredibly low numbers, and they're incredibly low across the country. So what occurs is that most health and human service agencies, when they are looking at individuals who are coming in to need help and criteria, they have now boosted this to what's referred to as, well, 200% of the federal poverty guideline. You know, a very quick and easy way to say how the federal government initially measured poverty. Anybody have any idea what that might have been? Well, it's what it took to feed an individual or a family back in the early 1960s. Now, why didn't we keep upping this? Why didn't we keep moving along? Do you want to be the politician that's going to raise the number of people who are considered on the poverty level? Probably not. So we slipped into this 200%, and that's something that has now followed us all the way up here to 2015. If you look at those numbers, it's the individual who was making $23,000 or less, or the family of four, $48,500 or less. As students, hey, if I had an income of $23,000, I probably would feel pretty golden until I added in my student loans and a few other things, but that's a kind of nice number. Pull yourself out of that and put yourself in the community. Think about some of the jobs that you might have with hourly wages and where that would take you. You can see how that $23,000 isn't going to go very far. Now, on top of that, talk about the number if you've got children. 43,500. There was an earlier slide up here as you all were coming in that talked about the average price of homes, median income, and you can see how somebody can get very, very strapped and be really trying to work not just one job, but sometimes two jobs, back and forth, and just to make things meet. And when you're in a stressful situation at home financially, you can see how that can lead into a lot of other things. Another thing that we look at when we look at poverty, and if we switch to the next slide, is basic hunger in America, in Grand Forks. We can switch to the next slide. There, yep, on hunger. Grand Forks County Social Services has the second largest number of participants in the SNAP program, which is what you would call food stamps. It's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. In the state, we're over 8,000 families, individuals, every single month that are receiving food stamps to help them make those ends meet. As I mentioned, United Way, we do fundraising and then we return allocating it out to agencies. The largest growth that we have seen in terms of needs and unmet needs has been in the area of hunger. Salvation Army, as I pointed out there, they have 5,200 unduplicated clients in their food shelf. East Grand Forks Food Shelf, almost 3,000 clients that are coming in on a monthly basis. The Senior Meals on Wheels program, which is actually providing meals to seniors in their home, folks that can't get out, 43% increase in the past year. These are some huge numbers that are coming in there. So as we look at our community and we look at all of the needs that are out there, there are certainly some folks that need a little extra help or may need a lot of extra help. The food bank, Grand Forks agencies and meal programs actually can work from two different food banks. The majority of them purchase their food from the North Country Food Bank, which is actually located in Crookston. Also, you've probably heard of the Great Plains Food Bank, that's down in Fargo. And these are just agreements that the agencies have in terms of who they work with, and they've been long-standing for a number of years. But North Country Food Bank, from just 2014 to 2015, they saw a 29.5% need in food. And you know, sometimes I hear from folks that say, oh, people are just taking advantage of those food shelves, they're just going in there to get free food. No. Talk to the folks that are running the food shelves here in town. Most families that come in there are embarrassed. They don't want to be there. But if you have nothing to eat, and especially if you have children, where are you going to go to get the food that is going to feed families? Especially as you're getting toward the end of the month, when unfortunately resources and dollars and things that you have basically run out with this. If we could go to the next slide. United Way, as we are looking at poverty and doing things, we had a survey, and the following were identified as the 10 most significant social service needs facing our community. This survey was done in January, so very current. No surprise, perhaps, again, to a lot of students, affordable housing. Difficult to find apartments that you want to live in, that you can afford, tough. Housing, even more so. Then the second thing is struggling working families. You know, that's the group, the working poor is a term that you hear an awful lot about. These are individuals who are certainly employed, trying to do the best for themselves and their families, get what they are able to make and what they need to exist, gap. And these are the folks that, because they are working, probably are not available to some of those programs. We saw the income for the family of four of $43,000. Well, what if you're making maybe $55,000? Sounds like a better deal, but you know, $10,000 more or so a month can help out a little bit, but some of those extra needs, especially when you're talking about children and growing children and the activities, and oh my gosh, the car broke down this month. Rent going up in an apartment. You qualified and things were great 2 or 3 years ago when you rented that apartment, but you know, rents have gone up and maybe your income has not met that. So you can see where the needs are going there. Cost and availability of childcare. I heard a little one over there before we were getting started. I was almost going to ask, what do you pay in childcare? This can sometimes equal or exceed your monthly rent. So you're a young parent, you're a young family, perhaps you're engaged in school, and yet you need childcare. Where are you going to get it, and how are you going to afford it? There's kind of a saying here in Grand Forks, before you even think about getting pregnant, get that slot in a childcare center. Because believe me, it's not going to be there 9 months from now unless you've done some pre-planning. That is a tough, tough issue in our community. And of course, those slots are the most expensive. But even when you're looking at after-school programs that are coming back, and you're in the workforce and trying to be with your children, those dollars are huge that are going out and affecting your family budget and what you're doing. We can certainly go down the list, and you can see a number of things there, but in terms of the top ones, those are some of the big, and I think the newspaper even touched on housing and certainly the cost of childcare. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about child and school demographics. So if we could go to the next slide, please. 21% of children ages 0 to 17 are living in a single-parent family in Grand Forks. For a lot of reasons, that's a tough road. You've got one parent who is trying to support the entire family, whereas North Dakota, you definitely need 2 incomes to reach on that unless you're incredibly fortunate and your income far exceeds some of the things that we've been talking about. But for the most part, going all the way through the economic ladder, people are working in this state. They're not hanging out at home. They are trying to do the very best that they can with all of this. 22% statewide, so we're just a little bit under that. But still, as you take a look at things, it is something, I think we tie with Wyoming sometimes in terms of the number of single-parent families within the state as you take a look through there. Now, I also did a breakdown on the school population, which I think is kind of important to take a look at, specifically the fact that just 3 years ago, 81% of our school population was Caucasian. Now take a look at the breakdown. We talked about some of our new Americans that are moving in. We are indeed changing. I can remember I moved here from the New York metropolitan area 25 years ago. I came from an area and enjoyed Italian food. There was no Olive Gardens or anything like that here. And when I walked into the grocery store, the area where I could get products to make pasta was a shelf like this. And there were like 3 different kinds of Hunt's tomatoes. They never even heard of Progressive. You know, It has changed, that's nice. We have ethnic food, diversity. That's all part of culture and helping us on with things. So that is certainly nice to see. When we talk about poverty, and then we talk about the percentage of children living in low-income families, that is a number that increases. And what is significant about that is the fact that all of our schools now would be considered Title IX, if you will, and that means that children, their families' income qualifies them for free and reduced lunches. In many instances, right here in our community, you have children where the only food that they're getting on a daily basis is maybe that even breakfast and lunch that they're getting at school. The after school or the after summer program, the lunch program at the parks that's run by St. Joseph's, huge demand for that. They saw a number of years ago that, when school stopped, what did the nutrition level for our children do? So that's an important factor, an agency that took a look at things and what is needed and out there. Later on in the morning, there is a session that is on social issues, if you're interested more in that, but there's a lot more that makes up our community. And that's also exciting and fun. So it is now my pleasure to turn things over to Christy Mishler, who is with our Community Foundation. And they tend to look at a different aspect of our community, fun when we're talking about vibrancy and activities that we're looking at. So the good news here.
You're going to bring the good news, we're also going to get the
Twitter hashtag coming up here.
Oh, sure.
They wanted to make sure that everybody had it, even though it's on your program. So we had a little mouse tell us, get the hashtag up here. And if you have questions, put them on Twitter. And then we'll see if we can get to them today. We're checking the typing ability of the person back there. Very good. All right. So why don't you go ahead, Christy? Let's hear probably some better news, I would bet.
We all familiar with the Community Foundation? Give me a idea. Ooh, yeah, thank you. So the Community Foundation, just to kind of give you a little information on what it really is and how it works to support and build healthy and strong communities, is that we work to promote private giving for the public good. So the Community Foundation is a place where we have about $10 million in assets, about which $8 million or so are endowed. And inside those assets are about 100 different funds. And so those funds make up their donor advised funds. So families set up funds and they make grants or distributions, advise us where they want to give their funds. And we have grant making funds, which we have the Knight Foundation Donor Advised Fund, and that's about a $2 million fund. So we give out about $100,000 every year from the Knight Fund. We give out 5% annually of our total asset base. And Knight supports economic opportunity, civic engagement, and talent retention. And so part of the reason why today this conference was funded is because civic engagement is very important to communities, and we believe, the Community Foundation believes, and Knight believes, that citizens should be involved and shape their community, and so voices matter. And how do we build a stronger information and shared network and engage all citizens? Another fund that you might have heard about is the Women's Fund, and that Women's Fund really invests in leadership for women and girls. And then we have Community Foundation Unrestricted Funds, which we make grants from as well annually. We also just got done with the Community Innovation Grant. We won a $200,000 Bush Prize, where we invested a lot of funding into things that support workforce, economic opportunity, core city vibrancy, and talent retention. The reason we actually won that grant is because we did a community engagement activity. It was community visioning with our friends from the Chamber and the City of Grand Forks and East Grand Forks. We did it from 2011 to 2013, and we engaged about 500 people around topics that are similar to the topics that we're talking about today in your breakout sessions. As well, we also had a mind mixer site where we had about 3,800 interactions, so it was really a large-scale interaction for the community. We really learned, we felt we had a good handle on what mattered most to community and what do we need to work on to help attach citizens to this community. So what we found, social offerings, aesthetics, and openness were some of the top 3 attachers to, I guess, what matters to people and where they live. And we actually had, we're part of a Knight Gallup study in 2008 to 2010 who actually found the same things and where are we at in those scales. So social offerings, we took a look at. We kind of, we have a lot of fun things to do, but the information sharing was difficult. People were having a hard time understanding what was happening. It was usually coming out after, the day after, so how do we share information regarding social offerings? People were looking for a more vibrant community. How do we strengthen our downtown? All in all, from 2 to 92, people really just want to have more fun in their community, and how do we help make that happen? Aesthetics, we were actually scored real high in the aesthetic area, that we have a really great greenway. We have wonderful park systems and a lot of places that people can engage together. And then openness, we're a welcoming community, and we sometimes struggle with openness. And the last few years, we've really seen leadership make a concerted effort to, I think, work hard together to be open, and how do we help get engaged citizens involved in community. So what else? A couple of the projects I think that are on the next slides. Which is that one? Good Town. So we actually, Community Foundation provides leadership where there's gaps in leadership or things that need to happen. So we were kind of tied to the Public Art Commission, and we started conversations about 3 years ago when people on 42nd Street, donors, wanted to get together and try to make their street more vibrant with arts and sculpture, and that turned into community-wide public art initiative with Novak and PAC. We're now having conversations with the city. How do we build private-public partnerships? The Midtown Kidtown is is an example of how the Community Foundation acts as a fiscal sponsor. So a group of individuals decided that we need an indoor playground, so they got together and sort of raised funds, and that will be up in the Grand Cities Mall probably in the next couple of months. What else? I think, is there one more slide? Is that it? Oh yeah, we made some grants from the NV 360 funds to support temporary public art projects, and that's one of them that you saw, the men, which I think are actually women mannequins, but that doesn't really matter. scaling the wall over on Norby, so that was super fun. I think at the end of the day, the Community Foundation, it seems like a lot of the grants that we do help fund collaborations and help different organizations come together to figure out how do we do things differently and how can we attack issues, social issues, and or seize opportunities in new and exciting ways. And I like to think that the Community Foundation, we want to build more philanthropic resources. We want to help nonprofits with endowments and having self-sustainable business operation funds and funding to help support them in the long term. We really want to, I feel, inspire, empower, and invest in Grand Forks individually and through, I think, the work that we do together. Something that's kind of fun, I'm just going to throw a shout out to the Chamber. We get a grant to fund the Shark Tank, which is happening in May, I guess. And so if you have an idea, a business idea that you want to promote or pitch, get a hold of the Chamber. We, I think, just gave them like $2,500 and they did the first Shark Tank last fall. And something that was really cool from that, one of the people who presented, there happened to be a person in the room who invested $50,000 in their business. So we're trying to get more resources to the table. If you have exciting ideas or things that you want to do in this community, it's a great place to live. It's a fun time to be in this community because the opportunities are here to really pave the way. Talent retention is super important to us, and we want our students involved. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're all here.
So far, Pat was really telling us.
I think about how really are we going to address the issues that we have and make sure that everybody is doing well in our community. And Christy, you've been talking about how do we engage everyone, engage them in the process of figuring out who we are and what we want to be. and supporting those efforts. So those really two go hand in hand, because if you're in poverty, you can't really be engaged. All right, look at that, right here in front of us.
All the fun.
And now we have Professor.
Oh, speaking about fun.
Oh,
My personal motto is dare to be dull. Well, I'm old Professor Munsky. People like Marcus Wax will tell you that when I say I came in 78, I'm not talking 1978. He contends that I came with the fur trade in 1778. And that's wrong. I was here well before then. I do want to thank Dr. Rockow students. This is an ideal map demonstrating people's place perceptions and mental maps of community. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Now, I'm pretty sure that the reason I was brought onto this panel was not so much to provide the comic relief, because you already have an outstanding troupe. I'm pretty sure it's because I'm able to keep things rocky. A little product placement for women's candies. A great place to be, and a historic place. Many people think that you just go there for the choice of what I offer in terms of consumable educational supplements. I do not give out candy. I give out consumable educational supplements. In fact, come to think of it, you probably could use a few because of the whoppers I tell. You go into, and it's very sad to realize that we have not only lost Betty Woodman, but that George has passed on too. You go into Woodman's Candies, and you are in a part of the living history of Grand Forks. And if you walk through that door, and you pay attention to what's immediately to your right, up about the size of about a typical 6-foot person's hip, you see a mark. That was the level of the water in 1997. And there's good evidence to indicate that if George, Woodman, and Betty hadn't come back downtown, a lot of us wouldn't be even here at this program today talking about who we are and where we will be, because George and Betty illustrated the resiliency that comes through the kinds of commitment to the community that is in far too short supply all across the United States. So yes, this is, a good thing to recognize that we are who we are because of who we've had before us. But I like to put this particular map up because it reflects how we're connected to other parts of our part of North America. We can't talk about Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, without putting things into context. And I'm so thankful in some ways that we're not asking the students to come and volunteer to put sandbags up, but instead ask them to keep an eye on an old professor. The young lady who is going to work with me, Marcus, she needs to be taught how to do rock, paper, scissors, so she doesn't wind up having to pick off with me to take care of her. Yeah, I got about the same response with that as I get in my classes. All right, so the point of all this, though, is we're connected. We're all connected, and it depends on our situation, where we are relative to somewhere else. Where we are relative to somewhere else. And if we take our scale, we begin to see that it's how do you want to present? On the right, that looks like Grand Forks from a remotely sensed image. Most people don't think of Grand Forks that way. Your mental map of Grand Forks and East Grand Forks is probably more akin to this. So, I was told that I should indicate how we could go to the next slide. So, if you will just move to the next, if you will hop to the next slide, please. You know, I'm sure that poor Daniel, who's sitting close to the front row, he might think that I actually helped draw this topographic map from 1938. But I think we ought to think about Grand Forks in the sense of situation through time. And not only the situation, but our sight through time. On the right side of that image, which is a 1938 topographic map, that is Grand Forks. Now, we could have done a lot of things at the end of the Great Depression and getting close to the start of the Second World War, which had already begun in China, 1937, invasion of Manchuria. But if you look at that map carefully, you see the heart of the historic Grand Forks with the near north side and the near south side and the university. This is our core. We could have continued to the west. We might have continued to the north. We could have gone south. And again, that river serves as a barrier, but it doesn't have to be. Now let's fast forward, hopping to it. Look at today.